I'm going to show you how to do glazing. So you can see this is the first one. If you take a look at the PowerPoint, you'll know what I'm talking about, but this is my value study. I look at my apple and I see the colors down underneath, and there's yellow over here on this side, so I'm getting my cadmium yellow and I'm going to paint it under all these warmer areas. There's one little spot right around here where I'm going to use a different color. Right now everything else seems to be affected by yellow underneath. The secret of glazing is to get underneath all those colors. I do have some masking fluid on this, and because I just can't remember when I have to do leave spaces for highlights. So I've done that. I've also put my background on it, and I used a graded wash, or a flat wash, or a graded wash, whatever you want to use. And I'm going to dry it off. One of the things that we have to really make sure is that our color is dry. Now we have my palette. I got my cadmium yellow. I'm going to go to my cerulean blue, because right around here, I don't know if you can see it or not, it looks cerulean blue. And I might have to go off camera to use my other palette to mix here. But so over in this area where it looks kind of blue, I'm going to put my cerulean blue. I don't want to use my other blues because they're going to be too strong. If I have an apple that's more deep red, maybe I want to use this blue instead of yellow. So I'm going to move along real quickly, dry it off. Next color I see is this real pale color. It looks kind of orange. So I'm going to go with my cadmium red for this. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. Now each color I put on there should be a little bit drier and a little bit darker. So I'm going to come around in here and I'm going to dry brush my yellow on here, my cadmium red on top of the yellow. I'm going to switch to my bamboo brush because, as we know, it's easier to do dry brush with it, and particularly over here where I want to get some yellow to show through. And when I glaze, I don't want to cover up everything that's underneath it. I want to let some of that color show through, so I'm going to try to get my color just about right here, moving back and forth, getting a little more cadmium red on there. And I'm going to put it on, and you can almost like draw with it, you see. See, it's fairly light. Over here, I could stand to put it in a little darker. Here we go, it's a little too dark, so I'm just going to take some off of my towel. I'm going to come up around into here, let some of this blue show through a little bit, just like this. You can see I have these striations happening here. And in other places like here we go. Now my brush is working really good. You see, I can come in here and I can just get this dry brush just working really nice. And see the orange that I'm making? This is why we glaze, because these colors are so unexpected. As you can see, if I go over the blue, I get a totally different color. Okay, so there's my next layer. Dry it off. Going to the next color. Next color is going to be my crimson. And it's each color. Now sometimes what we can do when we glaze is to alternate warm and cool. So now we know that this red is cooler than the cadmium we put on there. So now I'm going to come in here with my crimson. You can see how the colors are just building up really nicely on this. Around the side here, I kind of want this color to remain, so I'm just going to get my dry brush here and I'm just going to put a little bit of this crimson on top of there. And the nice thing about glazing is that we can just add small amounts. Up here, I wanted to get a little stronger because it's really red across the top here. So I'm going to dry brush it on. See, it's not really that wet of a color, and it doesn't take long for this to build up. Now when I go over to the blue here, I'm going to want to be a little bit stronger. So you can see how this is turning violet now. Over the other parts where there's the yellow, we have it turning more warm. When we get over here, it gets cooler. So we can start to see this part here where I got some light coming in from the window. It's bluer than my incandescent light, or my light from my light bulb, whatever it is. Build it up just a little more, And I'm going to stop right around here. Dry it off. Very important to dry it off. Now, I'm going to continue with my red. A little stronger crimson, because I really want to build up the red really strong through here. And now I think I'm going to switch to my other brush here, because this is really getting annoying. I want to get more color on it, so I'm going to get my dry amount of this crimson on my brush here, and I got this regular number 10 brush, and you can see how really nice that looks. Over in here, I can go like this with it, and you can see I can just put various amounts of this red on there, but you can see where it really wants to build up is where I've got all my colors together, and you can see how that red is really starting to form. A little bit more red around the bottom, so you really got to look closely at the colors underneath. See, that wasn't dark enough. I got to come in here and I got to make this really stronger. Here we go. Got a stronger red. It can be even stronger. The reason I know that is because it's not really affecting it that much. If you paint with it too transparent, what's going to happen is going to lift off the color underneath. If it's wet, you're going to lift off the color underneath. So right now what I want to do is I want to kind of sculpt this. And I'm almost drawing with this. And you can see how the apple is changing up here in the top. All around the top, I can get stronger color because it's really a deep red across the top. I like that a lot. See that? And I can just get that and just spread that around. And the thing about glazing that's really cool is the fact that you can get really, really bright colors. And when you're using something like red, red tends to want to get dull when it dries. But this is the best way to make a real strong red, is to glaze it. Okay, now I'm going to get my bamboo brush again, because I got to get over to the yellow part of it here, and I'm going to have to make a transitional area with it, and that means some real light dry brushing. And I'm going to come in here just like this. See, that looks good. I want to get this edge softer so there's not a real sharp edge here, and I can see a little bit of dark across the bottom. You can see that when the light is hitting it coming from here and all ways, since this is the second one, you're going to get lighter colors here, and as it goes underneath, we're going to get some stronger colors. And also what happens, we get light bouncing off the surface and coming back up underneath in here and making it a little bit lighter. I'm going to make this a little bit stronger right through here like this. Okay, now that's about it for that. Dry it off. Now where you want to make a strong statement, and I'm going to put a little bit of violet in there. And I've got some violet off camera here. I'm getting some of that carbazole violet, and you certainly can mix it with your ultramarine and your crimson. You can make a red violet if you wanted to. I think I'm going to go with red violet, putting a little bit more of this red in it. But I don't want it transparent. I want it to be semi-transparent. I don't want it to be real watery. That would be the bad thing to happen here. Let's get a little bit more of this on here. Okay, I finally got my color. It's right there. Now I'm going to come in here, right through here, and look at it. See how that makes it really nice and dark? And if I get my dry brush working correctly, I can let some of that other color underneath show through. And so we really get that elusive color that we see with an apple, and how it gets really a myriad of colors underneath there. Look, see how that little violet in that red, look how it really made it to be deeper real quickly. I'm going to come around in here like so. I'm going to dry it. Now I've dried it and it looks a little dull. So what I got to do now is I got to come back here and get my real strong red, and I'm going to boost that up so it's nice and a nice rich color. And this is how we keep working back and forth when we're doing a glazing. Here we go. See how nice that looks? I guarantee when this dries, it won't be dull. But now you can see I got some of that glaze that's happening here that I see from the window and from the light from outside. So here I have the really nice pretty red. Get a little more of that in there. And over here I can just kind of very lightly feather the brush like this to make it look like it has a softer edge. Just a touch of this little red over here just to bring out that edge a little bit. I see just a little bit stronger red over here. And by dry brushing it, I'm not going to make it that definite. But over here, I want to really make sure across the top here I have a nice strong red happening like this. Like so. And do streaks of the strong red through that color. And now you can start to see that it looks like it's coming through the window, but it's all that cerulean blue that's in there. So that maybe this side is just about done here. Let's dry it off. Now I gotta go work on the yellow here, because now that looks really, really yellow and it's actually kind of green. So I'm gonna get some of my cerulean blue and I'm gonna mix it, I think, a little bit with my green, just so I have a real delicate color. I could come in here really, really with a straight cerulean blue if I want to, which I think I will. Put a little bit right here. And that's going to give me a different kind of green right here. See, it's going to be a little bit different. And I can just come around over in here like that. See how that really wants to affect it? And what I can do is I can take the cerulean blue, mix it in with that yellow, and glaze it on top of the red here. And we know from our color theory that it's probably going to create a little bit of a dull red through here. So let me just get a different brush. I'm going to switch to my little brush here. I'm going to get my green. And I'm going to lay it on a little bit smoother. It's not so dry brushy in there. So I'm just going to come like this, see? There. If I need to get rid of some of the lines here, I can just put a little water on it. Bring it around. And that'll kind of mush it in together there, okay? Let's go for our dry it off. Now, let's go up on top and work a little bit. Let's work on the stem. I'm just going to get a little bit of this yellow ochre. You got that in your palette. Get some yellow ochre. Again, we don't want it to be too wet. Although the first color can be a little bit wet. That stem is mostly yellow ochre, so I'm going to put that on just like this. And I can come over in here also on the red a little bit. Put a little bit of this yellow ochre on here. Put some on this green over in here. And you see, I'm going to get some really nice little effects here. Come back with this yellow ochre and put it down over in here. And a lot of times if you have some texture and you don't want it, if you come back in with another color, you can push it back and put a little bit of yellow ochre here. And you see, I'm just doing touches of it. As I keep doing this, I'm getting more and more colors into my mixture. Okay, let's come in now with a little bit of umber. I'm going to grab some of that, and I'm going to come around here like this and do some Japanese calligraphy on it. I'm going to come around here and put a little bit of my burnt umber there. I can also come around and put a little burnt umber in here if I wanted to. Because sometimes in the reds you see kind of a brown color. You see, that just makes it a little deeper. Now the second painting, as we said, does not have a light shine directly on it, but there is we need to put a little bit of a cast shadow on it. And what I'm also going to do, I'm going to come around the edge here with some real strong red, just to get a really nice edge on this. Get a little more violet in it. A little bit of violet in there. And I'm going to make a really nice strong edge on this side here. It's going to be nice and dark. I'll come like this, and see, it's really going to bring out the apple. Underneath here, I can do that. Over here where it gets a little darker, I can just get some straight violet to put in there. And don't be afraid, we can just get this and just drag it with our dry brush. And see how that nicely smooths that in there? Move it around, and there. See, now we get a lot of depth and richness in it. A little bit of violet down the bottom, where it just gets a little bit darker. But as I say, there's this reflected light that's bouncing off the white paper. And I kind of left this to be gray, so that we could see it. I can actually see here yellow bouncing off the apple here, and more of red on that side. So what I want to do for my shadow, I'm going to come over here and mix up, get a little yellow ochre, mix it in with the color I got in here. I don't care really what color it is, as long as it's a little bit on the yellow side. I'm going to put it down for my shadow, because I see this cast shadow on there, something like that. Shadows all the time don't have to be gray. And over here on this side, I'm going to come in with but I'm going to come with some ultramarine blue right around here like this. The shadow looks kind of cold from being from outside here. I'm just going to go just like this with it, like that, and I'm going to blend it with a wet and wet wash, just like that. Put a little water on it, just blend it like that. Dry it. Okay, now I'm going to take my masking fluid off, and now I have to deal with my highlights. Right there. Sometimes the highlights are cool, like over here, so I'm going to get my cerulean blue, and I'm going to put some blue in there like this. It's not going to hurt to get a little red violet. Go like this with it, and I'm going to kind of let those mix together across the top. If all I got to do is just get my wet brush and just kind of mush it around there to make some of the red go into the highlight, and there's that up there. I want to bring out the highlight a little bit more. I can just dry it off first. And come around just with a little bit of violet like that. A little bit of violet in there. On this side, it's cooler, so I'm just going to get a little bit of my yellow over here, and I'm just going to kind of go something like this with it. Up here, it looks kind of blue, so I'm going to go back to my cerulean blue, like this, boom, like that. Fix that up over here. Dry it. Just got to clean up that edge just a moment here. I'm going to get some nice dark color, some really deep violet with a little bit of crimson in it, and I'm going to come around in here and I'm going to make this side here too blue. Put some red in it here just to get a nice clean edge there. And I'm just going to blend that just a little bit. So I'm basically glazing some more in there, going over my brown and my other colors I had there. See? There's my apple.